Alright. So, nakikita po ba natin yung, slides on your end? Alright, sige. So, first of all, since very close itong topic sa heart ko and I'm sure every one of you as well, if it's not too much to ask or what do you call this, hindi naman siya gano'n ka ka anong tawag dito, ka-sweet. If I can ask our participants to turn on their camera if they're comfortable, only if they're comfortable. I believe when we talk about peace building, it's very important that we can connect meaningfully. And because CSO ang usapan, hindi po ako gano'n ka-formal. And I wish maramdaman niyo yung connection natin as we go along. And if you have any questions and clarification, we can have that on the end of my presentation. Sige po. So, inshallah, I'm sharing now ano po yung magiging session review natin, ano yung mga magiging learning objectives natin, and that hopefully I want all of us to achieve five key learning objectives. First is that we will define ano yung civil society organization and what are its core characteristics, its types and functions in democratic governance. Second, we will explain the multifaceted roles ng CSOs that it plays specifically dito sa BARM governance, development, and peace building processes. And third, that we will understand the frameworks for CSO participation under the Bangsamoro Organic Law and its related policies. Fourth is yung we will describe ano ba yung role ng BEDC, as I mentioned kanina, Bangsamoro Economic and Development Council, and yung private sector representatives. And lastly is that inshallah we will identify the key challenges na nai-experience ng mga CSOs in our region, and let's explore strategies overcoming those challenges and strengthen yung civil society engagement natin. Later on as well, I'll be asking some of our participants if they can share some of the challenges, maybe if you're also part of a CSO or kung may mga na-observe din kayong CSO. So hindi lang so that we can learn as well from those other experiences. So I will encourage you to take notes and hopefully marami pa tayong time. I bet because this is a 2-hour discussion. And yeah, we will hopefully um, take some of your questions and clarification at the end of my presentation. So for the next slide, of course, before we discuss any yung civil society organization, it's very important that we understand the context in which they operate. So tingnan muna natin yung historical background ng BARM. We know that the BARM was established in 2019 following the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law or yung Republic Act 11054. And this was a historic moment. This legislation replaced the what we call ARM, yung Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, that actually existed since 1989. So, yung BARM natin ngayon is not just a rebranding. It actually represents the culmination of a historic peace process between the Philippine government and the moral revolutionary groups. Particularly, ito yung MILF, Tomorrow Islamic Liberation Fronts. Nagkaroon ng decades of armed conflict, karoon ng negotiations, and peace-building efforts that actually led to this moment. So ngayon, yung BARM natin symbolizes Yung BARM now stands as a symbol of autonomy, self-governance, and long-term commitment to peace and development in Mindanao. It embodies the aspirations of Bangsamoro people for self-determination. Now, here's the key insights I want us all to remember that BARM represents a new chapter in Philippine governance. Ito yung nagpa-prioritize ng self-determination, cultural preservation, and inclusive development for the Bangsamoro people. And in this new chapter, napaka-crucial po ng role ng ating civil society organizations. Now, let us turn to the leadership that has actually guided BARM through this critical transition. Our first minister, Honorable Ahod Balawag Ibrahim, is known as Murad Ibrahim. Siya yung naging first chief minister natin sa BARM. Siya yung naging inaugural leader na talagang nag-guide during the critical transition ng period natin, which started noong 2019. So, ano yung naging um, significant role ni former Chief Minister Ahod Ibrahim, especially that he also serves as the chairman of the MILF. Yung dual role niya is nag-allow na ma-breach yung revolutionary legacy with governance. Kaya na-transform yung revolutionary leader to a chief executive of the autonomous government. And during his leadership, nag-champion ang Bangsamoro region to what we call moral governance. And yung sabi nga niya, yung laging ini-emphasize during his statement na moral governance is not just a slogan. And tulad nga nung pag-define niya, allow me to read his line. Moral governance means that the acts of Bangsamoro government must be legal and legitimate, that its policy making rational and deliberative. It is responsible to its people and ensures check, balances, and accountability to them. And meron tayong three pillars of the moral governance. Ito yung ethical leadership, transparency, and accountability. And these are all equally important in participatory governance. And during the leadership of Honorable Ahod Ibrahim, fundamental element of the BARM governance is the active participation of civil society and communities in decision-making processes. This ensures that the governance remains people-centered and responsive to the community needs. So if take note dun sa sinabi niya na dapat yung governance is people-centered and it is responsive to community needs. Nagkaroon tayo ng change of leadership because on March 3, just last year, na inappoint ni President Marcos si Honorable Abdul Rauf Makakua. I'm just sharing this because this is very important kung ano yung ginagawa natin ngayon. So, during the transition ng government natin, after Honorable Abdul Rauf Makakua, yung interim chief minister natin, gisaksid niya si Honorable Ibrahim, which is actually uh, that we can, I mean, we can also consider Honorable. So this is very critical how we speak when talk to someone, especially in the government. But what I'm trying to say is that our chief minister now is that is actually not an outsider kasi very deeply rooted din siya dito sa Bangsamoro struggle. Especially siya yung chief of staff ng BIAF. Excuse me. And he is also a panel member of the MILF peace negotiating panel na nag-help na macraft yung 2014 peace agreement natin. He was the senior minister under during the leadership of Honorable Ahod Ibrahim, and he was also the first governor of Maguindanao del Norte nung nagkaroon ng separation ang Del Sur and Del Norte of Maguindanao. Now, uh, bakit ko to ini-explain? Because during those, given na it was March 2025 last year, and we are actually in the critical pre-election period kasi we're meant to have the October 2025 BARM election and then extended na naman ngayon. Um, Nagkaroon ng turnover nung March 27, and maganda yung declaration ni Chief Minister Makakuwa. Yung sabi niya doon sa statement niya that our guiding principles remains the same. So sinabi niya doon that moral governance, yun yung magiging guiding principle pa rin niya, and that he also emphasized na this moral governance is not just a slogan. Kasi ginawa niya itong, it is a standard. It is our standard, yung sinabi niya. And it will shape every decision, service, and move we make. So, very important yung statement niya. Bakit? Unang-una, it means na magkakaroon ng continuity yung values nung previous principle ng ating chief minister. And by saying remains the same, inaffirm ng ating current chief minister yung ethical foundation ng ating first chief minister, and he's just saying na hindi madi-discard kung ano man yung nasimulan during the time of our previous chief minister. Instead, mas isa-strengthen niya ito. Pangalawa, yung pag-elevate niya dun sa moral governance as not just a slogan, it is our standard. So, nagkaroon ng mas strict na accountability, kumbaga. And uh, yung third naman is kung paano niya vinalidate yung role ng civil society organization. Because during Chief Minister Ahod Ibrahim, when he calls for moral governance, um, kalma. When he calls it as, sorry, I'll just focus on Chief Minister Abdul Rauf Makakuwa ngayon. When he introduced the concept, mas nag-commit siya doon sa operationalizing yung, what do you call this, yung principle natin on moral governance. And nung gi-validate niya yung role ng civil society organization, mas na-legitimize yung CSOs as watchdog functions na what we call, kasi we can actually hold him to his own words given na siya yung ating chief minister ngayon. And I remember when chief minister, all right, so yung building natin on moral governance, let's now examine ano yung six core governance principle that is actually guiding BARM, yung ating region. First is yung kaninang sinasabi natin na moral governance itself. It is ethical leadership guided by integrity, justice, and service to the people. That government act must be legal, legitimate, and responsive. Pangalawa, yung transparency, na dapat open and accessible yung government processes natin, yung decisions and information, and that dapat alam ng mga citizens alam sorry, that dapat alam ng mga citizens natin na meron silang karapatan to know kung paano ba nag-ooperate yung government natin. Pangatlo yung accountability, kung saan our government officials and institutions must be answerable by their actions and decisions, and that mechanism must exist to ensure responsibility. Pang-apat yung participation, na dapat mayroong active involvement ang ating citizens and the civil society in governance processes, especially in decision making, na dapat inclusive ito at diverse, kung saan our voices and perspectives are included as well. And yung panglima, yung inclusiveness, na dapat yung lahat ng sectors, women, youth, indigenous peoples, and those marginalized groups are represented, and yung mga needs nila are addressed. Pang-anim is yung collaboration, yung partnership between the government, between the civil society and yung private sector, para ma-achieve natin yung shared development goals and sustainable peace. And here is the core principle I want us to emphasize. I want to really emphasize na lahat ng nabanggit na governance principle actually requires meaningful collaboration with the civil society organizations. Kasi without CSOs, hindi natin may ensure yung responsive, yung people-centered governance na talagang nagsaserve doon sa that actually truly serves the Bangsamoro people. Now, let us define naman ano yung central concept natin when we say civil society. Ano ba yung civil society? Usually, shortcut natin dito, CSOs. So, ano-ano ba yung mga CSOs? And ano ba itong civil society organizations? So, according to the um, definition, ang civil society organizations daw are groups that are independent from the government, that work to promote public interest, social welfare, and community development. Sila yung nagre-represent the voices of the citizens working together for common goals. So yung highlight natin dito is yung independent from the government, at saka yung nagpo-promote sila ng public interest, yung social welfare, and yung community development. And most importantly, most importantly is that they represent yung organized voices ng taong bayan, ng citizens, in working together for their common goals. Marami tayong forms ng CSOs. As shown in the slides, we have the non-government organizations. We have the community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, ito yung mga religious groups natin, youth and student organizations, ito yung mga youth organizations, yung mga student council organizations natin, professional associations, and yung other advocacy network. Now, yung key distinction ng CSOs is that they are independent from government. They are independent from government, but they are working collaboratively with it. So they work collaboratively with the government, pero independent sila. They are not opposition groups. Hindi sila kalaban ng ating mga government agencies, but instead they are partners in building a better society. So later on, I will be sharing as well yung Tri-People Peace and Development Agenda, wherein may 50 civil society organization that were engaged. And um, currently now in the BARM, meron tayong 35 accredited PSO. Ito yung private sector organization sa BEDC. And may allotted na seat kung saan may 5 private sector representative position that can actually sit in the council, yung ating BEDC. And pinapakita lang nito kung gaano ka vibrant yung civil society landscape natin sa BARM. Especially that they are now actually it was launched 2024, wherein they are inviting different PSOs, private sector organizations, because private sector organization includes CSOs and what other else? CSOs, private sector, business, cooperatives. So I think I'm just jumping on this topic, pero we will explain this as well later. But just highlighting na mas vibrant ng civil society landscape natin ngayon sa BARM, because we are given a position that can really allow civil society organization to be part of the discussion on of decision making, and as well as on monitoring the programs and activities that are being implemented in the region. So, alamin naman natin, ano ba yung mga characteristics ng CSO? How can we say that this organization is CSO? Paano natin malalaman na hindi siya NGO, hindi siya cooperative, or hindi siya youth org? And so, for the next slide, I'm sharing what are the 5 characteristics of the civil society organization. Unang-una, dapat po non-profit. So, because, bakit non-profit? Because CSOs, ang mission talaga ng CSO is it should be mission-driven organization that reinvest resources into their programs rather than distributing profits to owners or stakeholders. They are not after the profit. Kaya nga, kung mapapansin nyo, lahat ng CSO may mission yan. And yung lagi nating hina-highlight doon is that yung ginagawa ng mga CSOs natin is not really to earn money or profit for what they are doing, but it's really more of on how they can help, on how they can contribute to the needs and support the welfare of their target audience, target beneficiaries. Second, yung sinasabi natin na independent, kasi yung mga civil society organization, nag-ooperate sila independently from the government. Bakit? Because we don't want the government na magkaroon sila ng control. And that gusto naming ma-maintain as one of the CSO, yung autonomy namin in decision making, especially dun sa pag-implement ng mga programs. Third is yung community focus. Yung civil society organization actually prioritize the community needs and welfare. Nag-work sila directly with the grassroots populations to address their concerns. Some of the works that we've been doing, particularly uh, on this character, yung community base. I put some of the photos in some of my slides just so you can see ano ba yung mga ginagawa namin that actually characterizes us as civil society organization. Yung fourth is yung advocacy-oriented, na dapat yung mga civil society organizations advocate for the interest and yung mga karapatan ng citizen na ang mission nila is to amplify yung community voices and to really push for policy changes kung needed. And fifth is yung participatory. Yung mga civil society organization, they are actually on promoting participatory governance and civic engagement that can really help encourage our citizens na maging active sila in participating, especially when it comes to democratic processes. Yung mga characteristics na ito ng civil society organization is very important po in democratic governance. Bakit? Kasi sila yung nagbe-bring ng legitimacy, sila yung nagbi-build ng trust ng community, and because they are going into those grassroots level, into those uh, communities, especially vulnerable communities, na hindi alam naman natin sa dami ng dapat tulungan sa atin dito sa region, minsan hindi kaya ng government. And so which is why we are emphasizing the importance of the partnership of the civil society organization and the government. At this stage, I would like to ask some of our participants if you would be willing to share kung ano sa tingin nyo yung dahilan, bakit importante na meron tayong civil society organizations ngayon dito sa BARM. But I think before we move to that, I'd just like to hear some of the participants if they are connected to any civil society organization, if you are a member, or that if you are interested to be a member. But really, it's more of bakit sa tingin nyo importante yung uh, na meron tayong civil society organizations.
Hello po, good afternoon, Doc. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am. Okay lang po ba hindi ko lang i-on yung camera ko kasi parang ano siya, yung mahina yung net ko dito sa kung saan ako ngayon. Okay
Okay
lang
ra
po?
kayo.
Oo, salamat kay ma'am. Ma'am, ako pala si Wilma Umboy, from Zamboanga City po. Yes, before I was connected with the local NGOs here in Zamboanga. We have almost the same focus at the same time mandate. CSOs din siya. I don't know if you heard about Sabida here in Zamboanga. Hindi ko lang alam if in a way this is a local NGOs which is yung focus is really a building communities at the same time providing houses to all those yung mga nasa informal sectors na groups. So anyway, right now nasa Ateneo po ako, belong po ako sa social arm ng university and we are also providing services to our vulnerable communities, particular on IP communities po. So what I have learned from your ano ma'am, actually it's really no why is it important our CSOs? Maybe yes because we are creating safe spaces for dialogue and kung i-tailored ko po siya sa Zamboanga, especially with our experience in Zamboanga Siege, ito yung CSOs is the bridge, no? We are also the catalyst in terms of memory sharing, reconciliation, especially in Zamboanga, we have also cases, Rido, no? Yung ganon. And then, of course, CSOs also maybe we are also addressing historical injustices, no? And since I am referring to IP Dinner Group, maybe related to land, yung mga identity nila. And also you mentioned man about the governance. Yeah, very important po yun. Of course, CSOs also kasi focus yung mandate natin in terms of empowering communities it's very meaningful, no, na we are really encouraging them to participate in every activities kasi lahat ng activities, yun sigurong kagandahan ng CSOs, ma'am, kasi tailored fit yung mga activities natin to the communities kasi maganda yung grounding natin compare sa government. I'm not ano naman, pero that is really from based on your sharing and also with my previous experience. Napakaganda kasi ng tayo kasi kung people-centered tayo, of course, yung consultative yung process natin. So we are really tailored natin yung whatever activities na ibibigay natin sa kanila. So based sa ano yung need ng community. So it's really it's very very uh unique at the same time napaka meaningful yung ganong klaseng process, and we always respect yung development process ng community, hindi natin minamadali, and of course yung mga programs as well na maging culturally sensitive din tayo. So I think yun siguro, and the policies, no, and everyday na community practice we are also considering po. So I think yun po from my end, ma'am. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ma'am Wilma. Napakaganda nung additional inputs ni Ma'am doon sa kung bakit importante ang CSO, and from the perspective of someone from other province naman, from Zamboanga. Thank you very much po for sharing. Is there other participants that who would want to share?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ma'am Aliyah and Doc Ajan, to my classmates, and happy International Women's Day to all the girls and women here. In the role of CSO, it's very important in the context here in Davao City, as I'm working with the non-government organization, lobbying policies for environmental protection here in Metro Davao and Coronadal. It's one of our very key role is to lobby policies. So we're doing research first, and then with the community, particularly in watersheds and urban transformation, and then what we had with the research is to lobby policy recommendations to the city council, and then but the work doesn't stop there, ma'am, no. We are also doing our part, or doing our best to be part of the multi-partite monitoring team gihapon sa different agencies as well, so that naagihapoy transparency and accountability after we lobby those policies, or after mapasa yung mga ordinances or policies for the environmental protection. So that's one role of the CSOs, and one important role of CSOs in government or in the region.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ma'am Yvette. Ang ganda kasi kanina with Ma'am Wilma, she was sharing kung um, that the CSO matters because it represents yung community voices. And now with Ma'am Yvette, na-highlight niya yung promotion ng accountability. Yes. So thank you. Do we have other participants? Let's have one last sharing. If there
Yes. Yes, Doc. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'd like also to add sa importance of CSO. It also supports community development, and it encourage social change. Just like me, no, I don't have any kuan but in our school I am the kuan advisor or coordinator of the youth environmental youth science organizations, ISO. So to share this experience, it gives the youth an encouragement to be involved on how to preserve our environment, and also it encourage also the community, just like we kuan kanang connect with our barangay to to unsa ni siya um to give more information about how to um mga simple lang nga mga butang dokba nga just like how to segregate, proper segregation, no, to help the community nga malimpyo pud siya. Dayon encourage also the youth nga to maintain the cleanliness, because dili man na siya diretso jud nga naami inani nga organization makatabang mi inani kadako, no, mo sugod magyud ta ana sa gagmay pa nga pamaagi sa kuan. And also it also kanang starts with the youth. So just like what we kanang says nga ang atong youth ang future sa ato ang country. So we will develop our youth to become more responsible, make them involved sa mga organization nga naay pulos, dili lang kanang organization nga mga hazing, mga walay ayo. So it's best nga sa school na ana sila daan inani nga mga ginagmay nga mga organization nga they can also help sa community. So yes, Doc, mo na siyang ang akong ma-share the importance of having this civic society organization. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ada. Nakaka-flatter kasi parang you guys are the experts, even more expert with the experience you're doing now. And really just to highlight na regardless of being a member of a CSO, an NGO, kahit mere student or just a mere citizen, sobrang laki nung mga simple things that we do na we thought hindi siya ganun ka-impactful, where in fact those simple steps, yung mga simple thing na ginagawa, just like what Ma'am Ana was sharing kanina, just by teaching our youth on how they can segregate their trash, really very impactful yun sa ating community. And so thank you for sharing all those reasons and your insights on why importante ang civil society organizations. Just want to share one of the slides I prepared, that siguro reinstate natin ulit yung mga thoughts ninyo kung bakit nga ba importante ang CSO. Tulad nung sinabi kanina ni Ma'am Wilma, na yung mga CSO natin serve as the voices of the communities, especially on policy making. Nag-i-ensure ito ng mga concerns ng ating citizens, ng kanilang needs, ng kanilang aspirations, na those needs, concerns, and aspirations must be heard and must be included in decision-making processes. Second is yung sharing sa atin ni Ma'am Yvette kanina, na through CSOs, napopromote natin yung accountability. Especially that they are, most of the time, sila yung nagmo-monitor and nag evaluate ng mga government programs natin. And why importante yon? Because nai-ensure natin na yung mga public resources natin are actually being used effectively, and that yung mga officials natin are held accountable for their actions. So, natatakot sila ngayon. May kinakatakutan sila kahit papaano. And that we can be a reminder to them na they will be accountable kung hindi man nila gamitin yung public resources natin effectively. Third, yung sharing sa atin ni Ma'am Ana kanina, I think na tumpak niya yung third and fourth reason natin. Yung pangatlo is yung pagdi-deliver ng mga social services. We understand na hindi lahat kaya ng ating government, and that we also understand na marami tayong kapwa na who really have the heart to help and to deliver services, especially dun sa mga communities that are really in need, yung mga isolated communities natin. And so, CSO provide essential services, hindi lang dun sa mga resources, but also in education. Kaya meron tayong mga CSOs that focuses on teaching, yung meron tayong mga other CSOs that are volunteer talaga going into this isolated communities just to help yung mga students natin, yung mga young ones natin to learn. Other CSO as well focuses on health, yung ma-alleviate yung livelihood, and just like our CSO, yung disaster response. So, because sometimes yung government services natin are limited. Sometimes may process kasi. So minsan iniisip natin matagal. And because there are other CSOs again that has the big heart to really help, that are able to help, napapadali yung delivery ng services natin kasi hindi gano'n ka-complicated yung process natin as CSO. Sometimes when there are, just to share, sometimes when there are, um, anong tawag dito? Like nagkaroon ng bakbakan in just like what we've had in Maguindanao. Because our CSO is operating in the whole farm. We're operating in Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao del Sur, del Norte, Cotabato, even in Basilan and Tawi-Tawi. Sorry, we've not expanded yet to Tawi-Tawi. But there are times, especially in SPMS, in Maguindanao del Sur, may mga times na laging nagbabakbakan and that the community have to evacuate. And of course, we understand ano yung mga needs na dapat agaran na maiabot sa kanila. And though yung mga government agencies natin are very active, na talagang ora-orada darating sila to give and distribute supplies for the immediate need ng ating mga evacuees. Andun din yung support ng CSO kasi although kung hindi man na-provide ng other government agencies yung needs, at least may kaagapay din sila from the CSO side to deliver what is lacking on that immediate needs ng ating mga target beneficiaries. And fourth, which is also shared by Ma'am Ana, yung encouragement ng participation ng ating mga civil society organization sa ating mga citizens. And right now, we've been conducting different workshops and trainings. And with our project from the National Endowment for Democracy, we've been implementing series of workshop on empowering women in civic engagement because we want to really influence our women na mag-participate sila in governance, lalo na in democratic processes. So, yun yung isa sa I think one of the most important kung bakit importante ang CSOs, especially that um, they are building trust with the community. They can go easily with these communities. They were able, I mean, they've been part of the communities and because their heart is into the communities, yung sabi kanina ni Ma'am Wilma na people-centered. So, mas madali nating nakukuha yung tiwala and the willingness of our citizen to really share kung ano yung mga challenges and experiences nila. And because of that, nagkakaroon din tayo ng way and window to actually help them, to actually encourage them kung bakit mas importante na mag-participate sila in governance. Especially that when we remind them na sila yung unang naapektuhan, that their concerns and needs should be heard, and if they won't take participation, kung hindi sila magsasalita, if they won't share their voice and their concerns on the grounds, hindi natin mahirap 'yun ma-address. And so being able to be that group as a CSO na ma-inspire natin yung mga citizens na makialam sila, na mag-participate sila, that simply by actually taking part in the election, yung pagpili ng magiging representative nila, making them realize how important that is, because that is a big example of civic engagement. So, I think yun yung one of the most important reason bakit importante yung mga civil society organization natin. And that to just really summarize that, yung civil society organization natin really strengthen democracy through voice, through being the watchdog, and to deliver service and engagement. So, yes. Now I'd like to move on naman kung ano yung mga nung role ng governance natin, nung CSOs natin in governance, because nag-jump na ako kanina dun sa mga dahilan bakit importante yung CSO and how it is actually connects with our governance. So allow me to share the next slide. Yung BARM natin, dito sa Bangsamoro region, specifically, yung civil society organizations serve as the vital bridge between our citizens and our government. So, let me outline po yung 4 key governance roles natin. Unang-una, yung policy consultations. Yung CSO, yung active participation ng CSO in policy consultations, yung pag-provide ng community perspective on proposed laws, regulation, and government programs. Sila po yung nagbibigay ng priority codes and legislation. So kung wala yung participation ng ating mga CSO, especially na they serve as the representatives of the perspective of the community, yung lalo na yung mga tao natin on the ground, that actually serve as the input para po magkaroon tayo ng mga kung ano ba yung mga magiging priority natin, and yung mga legislation natin. So that's the first. Second is yung pag-contribute ng CSOs to development planning processes, ensuring that community needs and priorities are actually reflected in regional and local development plans. Just what BEDC is doing. Now, with the BEDC, nagkaroon ng 5 seats for the PSR. So itong PSRs are actually from different provinces ng BARM. We have 5 provinces, the Lanao del Sur, the Maguindanao Norte, and Maguindanao del Sur, Basilan, and Tawi-Tawi. And sorry, Maguindanao and ang SGA. And with the 5 PSRs, kinuha nila ito based on the location, but also really based on the election na nangyari after having the numbers of accredited CSOs in the BARM. Yung 5 PSR po natin ngayon, one of it is si Sir Karl Marx, which is from Sulu. And this was before pa po ma-out si Sulu sa atin sa BARM. And up until now, Sir Karl Marx is still part of the member ng PSR. We have one from Sulu in Tawi-Tawi po, si Sir Karl Marx. We have one from Lanao, which is ako. One from Maguindanao, ang MOSAP, which is Sir Salavi Dinas. One from Maguindanao pa rin po, si Sir, ang Unipad, which is also based in Lanao and here in Maguindanao, and also one from MOSAP. So, itong itong mga CSOs na ito, we were actually always invited when it comes sa mga planning, mga not all the time, but then because we are having we are setting different meetings. Ang BEDSI, nagkakaroon sila ng meetings quarterly and minsan when it's needed. And, sorry, excuse me. Because these are being seated by different, I think I'm just jumping here, but really, I just wanna highlight na importante yung pag-monitor ng mga CSOs in the government projects and programs because na tatrack natin yung yung progress ng mga projects and programs na ini-implement nila, which actually ensures the accountability of the use of the public resources. Yung fourth po is yung civic education. Sorry, nag-cut ako dun sa sharing what BEDSI is doing. Because I actually prepared another slide for that. And para lang hindi nami-mix yung sharing ko, I'll just leave that and we'll share more as we go with the slides later. Yung fourth po is yung civic education, kung saan ang civil society organization conduct civic education programs really to empower communities with knowledge about their rights, their responsibilities, and opportunities for participations. This is very important, especially during the time of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, kung saan tumulong yung mga civil society organizations natin na mag-facilitate, mag-advocate, mag-inform doon community. Now, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng participatory governance? Participatory governance means the citizens actively participate in decision affecting their communities. And it goes beyond voting to include ongoing engagement in policy making, planning, and implementation processes. So, ang mga civil society organization natin, as I was sharing kanina, they serve as the facilitators. Through this participation, nagkakaroon ng consultations kung saan kung saan yung mga CSOs natin are actually organizing community consultations para makagather ng input because it's very important talaga that we go on the ground, we talk to the people, we engage with the community because that's how we can really get an evidence-based data and yung inputs na yon will really help the policymakers, especially if we are given an opportunity, because we are given an opportunity to really sit and share as well kung ano ba yung mga nangyayari sa ground, being as the civil society organization. We can also do forums at yung pag-host ng mga public forums for dialogue and discussion, yung pag-facilitate not only hosting but also facilitate. And very clear po yung impact nito because kapag yung mga citizens natin is nagpa-participate, yung mga policies po natin and yung mga program natin can actually reflect doon sa needs and yung doon sa mga concerns ng ating mga community. So, that's why very important na nagkakaroon ng engagement in policy making, in planning, and yung implementation processes. Now, sa tingin niyo po ba, alin po doon sa role ng mga CSO ang pinaka-importante sa BARM ngayon? Yung policy advocacy po ba? Yung service delivery? Yung peace building? O yung community organizing? Or yung monitoring government? Would anyone want to share? Sa tingin niyo po, from our participants, alin doon sa mga role natin as CSO yung pinaka-importante ngayon sa bar?
Right. Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. For me, based sa experience, observation, and as well as a perspective of someone who co-founded a community-based organization or
Wow.
youth-led organization. For me, siguro, monitoring government yung pinaka-importante for now sa context ng bar. I'm sorry for my cat, medyo tapos monitoring government because I do believe that if we are actually I think it's also relevant and as well as affected um relevant sa entire country but as well as at the same time mas nakikita yung mga effects sa BARM context na to hold the government accountable kung ano man yung mga nangyayaring inconveniences, lalo-lalo na sa communities. And as well as monitoring them, the government, their roles and their responsibilities and as well as their projects na deserve na ma-receive ng community ay dapat mai-raise sa kanila kung pwede ngang spoon feed dapat gawin. And I just wanted to cite an example, like for example, the famous thing that they were doing or development dun sa Manila, which is yung Mount Kamuning. I think it was Mount Kamuning is it's a parang ano ba yun siya yung parang overpass siya na masyadong mataas, super taas talaga siya na overpass na nilalakaran. Kung hindi siya
Yeah.
kinall out ng mga tao, kung hindi minonitor, kung hindi nagkaroon ng parang citizen journalism na parang kinall out siya kinall out yung project na yun or yung Mount Kamuning na yun on social media, hindi magiging accountable yung government to make things easier kung ano ba talaga yung deserve. So I think monitoring what are the things that the government should be doing, especially with taxpayers' money, is very important kasi I do believe na everything will follow if we first choose the right leader. Pangalawa, if they are aware and knows kung ano yung mga kailangan i-prioritize, especially sa mga government services. And I do believe kung kapag meron tayong mga ganon na monitoring with the government, everything else will follow. Yun lang po para sa akin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Renzo. That was quite an example. I've watched that as well, yung ramp, which is very stiff. Tapos for our PWDs then. Sige, you've answered monitoring. For others who would want to share, hold muna tayo dyan. I'm just checking the time and it's already 2:17. So, marami pa akong prepared. But then, let's just try to hold your thought kung meron man kayong ibang perspective with the answer with the question. And let's think about these roles, how they are interconnected as we go along with our discussion. But again, thank you very much for sharing, Sir Renzo. Yes, Doc. Oh, that's great. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you, Doc, for akala ko I have to, because I prepared a lot. I felt like 2 hours is like there's so much to share, especially with what's happening in the BARM and sitting as one of the private sector representative. I felt like it's my responsible to share ano ba yung ginagawa namin to really give justice for this topic. So yeah, let's see if we need to extend, but I really respect your valuable time then and see if we can merge this in 2 hours if it's possible. O kasi mag-iftar pa ako nun, Doc. Hindi, joke lang. Sige, sige. Sige. So, let's see how this rolls. Yung policy advocacy, service delivery, peace building, community organizing, and yung monitoring government. Alin ba doon yung pinaka-importante ngayong sa panahon ngayon sa BARM? And while Sir Renzo shared kung bakit importante yung monitoring government, I also agree. But then we'll see why it's very important as we go along again with the discussion, why it's important and how these roles are actually interconnected. Kasi I feel like this all is important, but then again, we're asking most. So thank you, Sir Renzo, for sharing. Allow me to share my next slide. I want to delve in on the ethical governance and really highlight that the civil society organization are not just participants in governance. Sila yung active promoters of moral governance. Bakit? Because again, they serve as the watchdog. Pag sinabi nating watchdog, sila yung monitor, sila yung nagre-report kung meron man mga misuse of funds, sila din po yung nagmo-mobilize ng pressure sa ating mga government those in the position in the government. So, aside from being the watchdog, sila yung nag-advocate, sila yung partners natin in ensuring that the government actions are actually aligned dun sa ethical principles and that it really serves the public interest. So, yung contribution ng CSOs natin in the moral governance, how they can contribute through monitoring. Yung sharing kanina ni Sir Renzo that the CSO monitors government programs to really ensure accountability and yung proper implementation. It sounds paulit-ulit, but then we are delving now on the ethical leadership. So, yung ethical leadership naman, because CSOs encourage ethical leadership among public officials through advocacy. I believe lahat na tayo nakakita nung case na nangyari during one of the Senate hearing of one of the official that gives a comment pertaining to Miss Ann Curtius, and nakita natin how so many other CSO groups that really challenge this perspective towards the girls, especially ngayon na Women's Month pa talaga. So, yung pag-encourage through the CSOs, nagkakaroon ng nai-encourage natin, if not, na-challenge natin yung mga leadership ng mga leadership among those those public officials through our advocacies. And next is yung transparency, that the CSO really advocates for transparency in public service delivery and decision making. Now, yung key principle natin dito is that yung presence ng CSO natin actually ensures that the public services aligns with the people's needs and upholds the highest standards of integrity. Na yung mga civil society organization natin being a watchdog functions, they include tracking programs implementation, yung pag-report ng corruptions or misuse of funds, yung pag-advocate ng reform if need be. And gosh, lalong-lalo na ngayon with what's happening in the Middle East, ang dami nang nagmamahal. Siya na lang ang hindi. No, I'm kidding. Ang dami na pong nagmamahal with our fuel. Well, in fact, kahapon, marami nang nag-hoarding sa mga different fuel station. Marami nang nakapila. And really, this is the time where our civil society organization can really take part in challenging if needs be na mag-advocate for reforms or really to mobilize yung public pressure natin, given that we are on the ground, we are the one experiencing it, we see our community, how it is affecting them, and sometimes maybe our leaders, our public officials are just too busy doing their work then as well. So, hindi na sila nagkakaroon ng time to really go on the ground and to really track what's happening in the community. So, ma-activate na naman yung mga role natin as CSO nito with what's happening now in our country, with what's happening in another country, especially in the Middle East. And it's really important that we are always um, aware of what's happening, just so we can really advocate then kung ano yung concerns and yung needs ng mga community natin or with our target audience, kung ano man po yung mandate ng CSOs ninyo, kung ano man yung focus and yung advocacy. Next slide is yung policy advocacy natin and how our CSO influence yung policy advocacy naman. So, meron po tayong 3 main avenues how our CSO actually influenced policy. Unang-una, yung pag-conduct ng research. Alhamdulillah, I was given an opportunity to be part of different research grant from different partners, and being one of the researcher, I I I really can say na very importante po na nagka-conduct tayo ng research, na dapat yung mga analysis natin are evidence-based, kasi ito yung makakatulong para ma-inform natin yung policy discussion, makapag-provide tayo ng evidence-based na data that really has the perspective of the community. And through that, mas magiging effective yung mga policy na gagawin na talagang ipapatupad para ipapatupad na makakaapekto doon sa mga community natin. Pangalawa po, yung proposing reforms. Yung mga civil society organizations can actually propose policy reforms based po doon sa community needs. And again, which is why very important yung pag-conduct ng research, kasi it should be evidence-based. Yung because you have the evidence-based data, timely, and it's really from the ground, nagkakaroon ka ng mas magandang recommendation para mas ma-improve yung mga batas o kung ano mang mga regulations yan and kung ano mang mga programa yan. Pangatlo is yung legislative advocacy. Very important na nag-engage yung mga civil society organization in lobbying, especially in legislative advocacy, yung pag-attend ng meetings with the parliament members, because most of the times, what I've been experiencing as one of the accredited CSO here in the bar, kapag meron pong mga public hearings, be it on the budget hearing, be it on the Bangsamoro Planning and Development, I was first invited for the Bangsamoro Development Planning year 2022 until 2025, and now, sorry, from 2023 to 2025, and then from 2025 to 2028. And just being part and being invited is very important once you have the data, once you've done your research, once you've really engaged with the community, you have the very rich input that you can share, especially kung meron mang mga meetings or meron mang mga gathering na ganito, that can really make you feel confident to lobby and to share ano yung mga sa tingin mong dapat na mangyari and yung mga nakikita mo sa ground. And being part of the PSR then as well, sobrang dami na pong mga workshops, trainings, presentations na ginagawa ng Bangsamoro Bangsamoro Planning and Development Authority na one of the agency dito sa BARM that really focuses on monitoring and evaluating programs and projects here in the BARM, that we are invited, that we are asked to be present, sometimes just as an observer, especially with their biddings. So, nakakapag-participate po kami nun as one of the accredited PSO ng Bangsamoro. And I think this is my way of saying na if you have, because like if you have organizations that are also based in the BARM, and that to really give you more space para maka-engage sa kung anong nangyayari sa governance natin, it's really advisable na magpa-accredit din sa BPDA, magpa-accredit sa BPDA for you to be able to be invited then kapag may mga ganitong mga ganap, pag may mga ganitong mga meetings and um, policy discussions and legislative advocacy. Next slide. Yung sorry, excuse me. Next slide po is yung our CSOs are very crucial in community development through its direct service delivery across multiple sectors. So, of course, iba-iba yung focus ng mga CSOs. Depende din kung ano yung strength nila. And there are multiple sectors that we have. Others are in education, in health, others naman are in livelihood, in disaster response, and yung sa amin, because it focuses on community resilience building and yung emergency relief operation as well, pumapasok kami doon sa disaster response and peace building. So, di ko na po isa-isahin kung ano-ano itong mga ito. I'm sure alam nyo kung saan kayo na-belong, given that we have participants that are really, I, I, I remember Ma'am Wilma is on in Zamboanga, wherein sa school siya. And then so, with Sir Renzo naman being one of the founder din ng kanyang youth-led organization, I'm sure iba-iba din po yung focus natin, be it in health, in education, in livelihood, and in disaster response. But these are just some of the different multiple sectors that we have as highlighting yung crucial community development ng ating civil society organization when it comes to delivering their services. Now, yung ating next slides, perhaps po one of the most important roles ng civil society organization in the BARM is in peace building. And through the sharings kanina ng ating mga participants, parang lahat ng sharing nyo, pasok na pasok siya, hindi parang, but really, yung mga sharings nyo is pasok na pasok siya sa peace building. And so because CSOs have played a major role in peace processes by working at the grassroots level, really, it is to build trust, mag-foster ng dialogue, mag-promote ng reconciliation among communities affected by conflict. Nagkakaroon ng contribution ang yung CSOs natin is na-attribute siya sa PS through through the following. Unang-una yung advocating for PS. Kasi nga, we advocate for PS. Sa CSO, yung pag-support natin sa normalization process, yung pag-mobilize natin ng public support for peaceful resolution. And because we are talking about the BARM, ito yung nakikita ko and na-experience ko that CSOs really advocates for peace agreements. Kung ano man yung mga nakasaad doon sa comprehensive agreement ng Bangsamoro, uh, we we really try to see kung saan tayo makakasuporta, especially on the normalization process and yung pag-mobilize ng support natin sa peace in a very peaceful resolution. I understand yung iba sa inyo is from Davao, from Zamboanga, but alam ko yung may puso din kayo and maybe you have family friends that are based in the Bangsamoro. And yeah, just I think I'm just saying bakit our discussion now is focused on the farm. Second po yung pag-facilitate ng dialogue that the CSOs really that because the CSO facilitates community dialogue, may interfaith dialogue, nagkakaroon ng safe space. Nakaka-create tayo ng safe space sa iba't ibang grupo to help them communicate and discuss kung ano man yung dapat nilang yung mga concerns that needs to be addressed. Next is yung kung bakit is because yung mga CSOs natin can actually serve as a mediator, lalong-lalo na pag may mga local conflict. Nakakatulong sila mag-prevent ng violence, nakakatulong sila na hindi mag-escalate yung violence. And here in the bar, we have different ways. Meron yung traditional meron yung traditional conflict resolution mechanism na we still use our traditional leaders, yung mga datu, Bahia Labi, women itself as experience. Marami na kaming nakikita na different civil society organizations that really serve as the mediator in preventing conflicts. Yung mga RIDO. So because of that, na-attribute yung CSOs in peace. Second is yung reconciliation initiatives kung saan pinopromote ng civil society organizations yung mga reconciliation initiatives and social cohesions among diverse community, helping heal division caused by decades of conflict. So iba-iba yung mga programs and activities that the CSOs are implementing. Minsan, really depends on the funds that they have from the funder na partner nila. For us, right now, because one of our partner is the National Endowment for Democracy, and they promote freedom of democracy in different countries. Yun yung focus namin. That really we're conducting different series of workshops in different areas of the BARM para ma-promote yung active participations ng mga women in democracy, especially in policy making. And so, meron din tayong mga interfaith dialogue programs, yung trauma healing workshops, and community peace building activities. And because of this, mas nabibuild yung trust ng community sa mga civil society organizations, which is why nagkakaroon ng connections and grassroots trust ng mga community sa ating mga CSOs, and this really contributes to peace building. Next is yung transition period natin dito sa Bangsamoro Peace Process. Now, during the BARM transition period, very critical po yung naging role ng CSOs. Up until now, I can say very critical yung role ng mga civil society organization. They because of the CSO helping different communities regardless kung ano I mean depending kung ano yung mga target communities nila. Just helping them understand yung change ng governance, promote public awareness about the new autonomous region, and ensure citizens could participate in shaping development priorities. And we understand na very new ito, and that especially with the way of election ngayon sa BARM, because this will be the first time iba yung parliamentary election ng Bangsamoro with what our Bangsamoro people have experienced for the long time. So it's really uh, important na partner ng government ang ating CSOs, given na they can really go into communities, hindi sila takot pumunta sa ground kasi wala silang atraso because we understand may mga other agency talaga that some other communities don't welcome them, and so as one of the experience we've had, because we've been helping on educating our communities on voters education on the Bangsamoro parliamentary election. Pumupunta talaga kami sa mga ground, and may mga challenges din talaga na may experience mo yung isang community when they're hearing some other organizations, hindi sila ganun ka komportable or hindi sila ganun ka welcoming. And so, pumapasok dun yung important role ng CSOs natin because sometimes they feel like if you are not wearing a hat from the government, mas mas vocal sila as experience, mas vocal talaga silang mag-share at magkwento. And so uh, we were able to really went to those very isolated and mga most conflict areas dito sa in Maguindanao del Sur, in some vulnerable communities in Lanao. But in Lanao, I felt like because I'm Amra now, and it's really easier to discuss and this and that. But really challenge sa akin nung dito kami sa Maguindanao kasi may mga iba na kapag narinig nila yung ito, they feel like, no, mag-ano lang kayo, magka-campaign lang kayo, given that it's we are teaching voters education on the Bangsamoro parliamentary election, they feel na campaign na naman ito, and because some of the community members are pro to this group and not and cons to the other group. So yun yung mga nagiging challenge. But as looking back with all those different communities na pinuntahan namin na talagang most of the time, sinasabi nila na first time nilang maka-meet ng organization, first time nilang malaman yung ganito, first time nilang marinig na meron palang BARM, meron palang bago na pala yung natin, yung leader natin, election pala sa ganito, na-postpone pala yung election, paano ba kami boboto? Just looking back at those times and those experience we've had, really we can say na very critical yung role ng ating civil society organization ngayon sa BARM. Aside from being an educators, nagiging facilitators, nagiging advocators, and because of this different functions na nagagawa ng isang civil society organizations, malaki yung contribution natin on public awareness campaigns on BARM, on community consultations on priorities, yung voter education for the plebiscites, Yes, you can see on my slides. Nagpapatayo din kami naglalagay din talaga kami ng ano, mga tarpaulins kasi we understand marami pa rin pong locations dito sa BARM na walang um, challenge pa rin yung pag-connect nila sa outside world. Mahina pa rin yung connection. Most of the time, walang mobile signals, walang electricity. So, hindi challenge pa rin on how they can access information. So, very ano pa rin, applicable pa rin sa amin dito sa BARM in some of the isolated areas. Yung paglalagay ng mga tarpaulins, pamimigay ng mga flyers, and yun yung mga ginawa namin, especially during the time of pandemic din po. During the time of the plebiscite nung BOL, and then meron kaming mga positive messaging during the time nung pandemic kasi because isolated sila, hindi nila alam na mayroon na palang COVID, so hindi sila aware, tapos may mga symptoms ng nararamdaman. Although I can really say there are so many other communities na hindi naniniwala dun sa COVID. Pero nakaka-experience sila ng mga symptoms and they are considering it as normal na ito kasi ganito naman talaga pag uubuhin ka, sisipunin ka, sasakit yung lalamunan mo. But really just letting them know kung ano-ano yung mga kung ano-ano yung mga ways para hindi sila makahawa sa iba, para hindi maging complicated na dapat mag-isolate sila para hindi madama yung mga other family members or mahal nila sa buhay. That's why nagpo-post pa rin kami ng mga tarpaulins and just sharing that because I felt like na proud talaga ako dun sa mga initiatives namin back then. Kahit bawal lumabas, kami yung mga pasaway because we felt like we are the frontliners, yung CSOs, na talagang kailangan to ng community and we need to do this and so we do it. And yeah, yun po yung some of the contributions natin na talagang ma-bridge natin yung communities natin with what's happening in our government, in our environment, and maka-help din on monitoring dun sa transition, how we can engage their commitments as we transition given that hindi na naman matutuloy yung election and uh, we really wanna make them stay on the lane of peace. And most of the time hindi naman natin makokontrol yung mga ano nila, yung mga negative sentiments nila. But inshallah, hopefully, by just helping our government and our community be aware of what's happening and engaging them, why they should participate, why should they stay on the lane of peace, ano natin, what do you call this? Hindi naman sa masusolusyonan, but really makaka-move forward tayo dun sa challenge na yon and that ma-engage natin yung community natin na wag silang bibitaw dun sa we've gained so much na with what we have now in the Bangsamoro and yun yung gusto nating ipa-realize sa kanila na malayo na yung narating natin kaya wag kayong bibitaw. There are challenges but with the help of the civil society organization, making them realize bakit importante na suportahan pa rin nila yung kapayapaan, suportahan pa rin nila yung yung commitment nila on the transition. That's very important. Sabi ko nga, not only as an advocator, but really as a facilitator, as an educator, and lahat-lahat na. Minsan, hindi mo na alam kung anong hat yung wear mo or kung ano yung role mo dito sa mundo. But especially in the barn. But really, I felt like, oh, so long as you have the heart, so long as hindi ka mawala dun sa mission ng organization mo, mission ninyo, you will be in the right path. And so with that, move on po tayo sa ating transition dito sa BARM. Yung transition natin dito sa Bangsamoro really requires the adaptation of the citizens, of the community with the new governance structure. From the old na ARM system, ngayon is meron ng Bangsamoro framework that really expanded po yung autonomy and yung different institutions. The yung civil society organization facilitated po yung iba't ibang transitions. Ito yung nagkakandak tayo ng mga workshops, kung saan may mga training sessions on new governance structures, may mga forum para po sa public discussions on right and responsibilities, yung mga consultations. And yung goal natin was really to educate yung mga communities natin para malaman nila ano yung mga karapatan nila, but at the same time, remind them kung ano yung mga responsibilities nila under the new system. Inshallah po, yung CSOs natin are really helping na ma-bridge yung gap between yung old arm natin and ngayon yung bagong Bangsamoro by explaining them na meron ng may mga bagong ministries na, hindi na siya departments, mas ma-clarify sa kanila ano yung mga karapatan nila, may pakilala sa kanila kung sino na yung mga officials that they can really connect with. And I believe that through that, mas nabibuild natin yung trust nila with the transition na nai-experience natin ngayon, na nai-experience ngayon sa Bangsamoro. I'm just sharing those because yun yung mga ginagawa ng civil society organization ngayon, and not just sharing because that is what we are doing, but because that is also what I've observed and what I am really seeing dun sa mga other CSOs na very active dito sa BARP. I believe may mga other programs din po kayo, especially with our participants. May mga other programs din kayo, and the uh, different CSOs that you are observing as well. Now, next slide po is yung doon sa development planning dito sa BARM. Development planning in BARM actually involves a multi-sectoral approach that engage in three key stakeholders. Ito yung government, which are the BARM ministries, yung mga ministries natin na hindi na ngayon department, yung local government units, and yung mga planning agencies. Pangalawang stakeholders is yung civil society. Ito yung mga community, ito yung mga bosses ng community. Nandiyan po yung mga NGOs, yung mga advocacy groups, and yung private sector. So yung private sector, nandito yung mga business community. Ito yung mga industry expertise and yung investment, kung saan yung mga yung mga expertise in industry and investment perspective. So the outcome of this multi-sectoral collaboration is the development strategies that are yung sinasabi nating inclusive, responsive, and are really aligned with community needs. So ito yung development planning ng BARM na dapat nag-uusap-usap, nagkakaroon ng collaboration ang ating government, yung ating Bangsamoro government, yung ating mga civil society organizations, yung private sectors, because with this strategy, mas nagiging inclusive po and responsive yung mga programs and yung mga activities that we are implementing in the community, in the BARM, because it addresses po yung community needs. Next slide is yung BEDC that I would want to share. Kasi yung Bangsamoro Economic Development Council po is very crucial crucial siyang institution for the CSO engagement. Nagkaroon ng establishment ang BEDC under the RA 11054, yung Bangsamoro Organic Law po natin, kung saan sila yung mag-serve as the planning, monitoring, and coordinating agency for all development plans, programs, and projects of the Bangsamoro government. So, ang key functions po nila is planning, monitoring, coordinating na dapat po align yung efforts ng mga programs and activities na ini-implement dito sa BARM. Ngayon, meron pong private sector inclusion. Ito yung kung saan si Betsy is meron siyang 5 private sector representatives o yung tinatawag naming PSR. So, itong 5 private sector representatives, galing po sila doon sa mga accredited na PSO organization, yung private sector organizations dito sa BARM. So, year 2024, nag-launch ang BPDA, inviting different active organizations in the BARM na magpa-accredit sila sa BPDA.